Would you rather fight 20,000 emus or 600 million rabbits? The rational answer is, of course, the smaller number, but if you're the nation of Australia, your answer might not be the rational one. It's common knowledge that Australia is one of the most dangerous places on the planet. If the obvious killers like crocodiles and kangaroos don't get you, those sneakier ones like stonefish and air supply will. However, picture yourself in Australia in the early 1930s. There are so many emus wreaking havoc in the country that you, the Australian citizens, call for official government support, and your request is granted. The goal is to shoot and kill all of the emus, but look at these guys. They are literally built perfectly to defend against headshots. No wonder you lose the war. You say, well, shit, and then go about your day. You're looking out, guarding your property from the advancing emu army when you see something that looks like it's tunneling across your lawn. You do everything in your power to stop it, but the moment you get tired out, you hear a voice pop up behind you and say,
What's up, Doc?
That's right, rabbits. They have an interesting history in Australia simply because they don't belong there and never have. Aside from a few outliers, the rabbit is just too kind an animal to fit in with the derangement that is the Australian population. The other animals there are pretty weird too. We begin in 2006, where rabbits make their debut appearance in the 4th game of the Rayman series. From here, they go on to appear in many video games, TV shows, and even in the real world. In their own documented history, rabbits create a time machine out of an ordinary washing machine and from there scatter themselves across history. Most importantly to us, a small number of them land in Great Britain in the late 18th century. Traveling through time mutates the rabbit's biology, turning them from the sentient and intelligent creatures that they are into more domesticated and less intelligent little guys. From here, our story begins with a British person named Thomas Austin. He isn't the first guy to bring rabbits to Australia. That feat goes to a British Navy fleet. Nobody really cares about them though. Why we care about Thomas Austin is that he is the reason there are wild rabbits in Australia, and also that's the reason that most Australians would call Thomas Austin a Thomas Austin pulls up to present-day Tasmania and decides that it would be a great idea to introduce a bunch of new animals to the country. He introduces various animals, including but not limited to hares, blackbirds, and thrushes, and he also says that he is breeding wild rabbits and partridges. The funny thing about rabbits is the one thing we care about with rabbits, and that's that they multiply. So of course, Thomas Austin's rabbits did exactly that. In fact, a study conducted in 2022 confirms that the entirety of Australia's feral rabbit population is descended from Austin's 24 rabbit. Ignoring the fact that 1, Australia has a feral rabbit population, and 2, it's significant enough to do research on, this study confirms that, as Semi-Classic Sonic fan once said, your actions have consequences. Since rabbits did as rabbits do, they started to overpopulate any land they had access to in Tasmania. Starting with Austin's 24 rabbits in 1859, reports just 7 years later were stating that 500,000 rabbits had been killed and the land was still completely unusable. Telling his family that he was just going out to get milk, Thomas Austin moves from Tasmania to mainland Australia and asks his nephew to send him 12 grey rabbits and 5 hares. His reasoning for such is that the introduction of a few rabbits could do little harm and might provide a touch of home in addition to a spot of hunting. Austin's nephew, William, can't find enough grey rabbits to fulfill the order, so he just grabs some domestic rabbits instead, sends them off, and figures nobody's gonna know the difference. Then, when Thomas Austin feels like it, he releases his newly bred silly rabbits into the wild because he got bored of them. He's a rich white guy and can do no wrong. Because of that, anyone else with rabbits just kind of follows suit and does the exact same thing he did. These hybrid rabbits are now left completely unchecked and do the really cool thing called adapt to their surroundings. This, of course, results in a rabbit that is better suited to live in Australia than most Australians. And since they're rabbits, they overpopulate, and it gets to the point where 2 million rabbits could be quick-scoped annually, and that wouldn't even put a dent in their ranks. Rabbits are now causing hundreds of millions of dollars of property damage every year, and this finally prompts the Australian government to go, maybe we should do something about this, guys. They start putting bounties out on the rabbits. telling the Australian population that they will get paid to go kill as many rabbits as they can. The Australians love this idea because it allows them to beat something that isn't their wife and get paid for it. When 1887 rolls around, New South Wales decides to try and crowdsource the solution to this rabbit problem. They offer a prize of £25,000 for any method of effectual extermination that they have either not heard of or not tried. Now, adjusted for inflation and converted to a normal currency, this equates to about $6 million. As you might expect, this offer prompts about 1,500 suggestions on how to get rid of the rabbits, many of which actually involve biological warfare. Other honorable mentions on the list include releasing more animals into the wild to kill the rabbits, as well as just poisoning them with regular-ass arsenic. They also try using phosphorus, but both of them kill livestock, and phosphorus also makes people's hands glow in the dark. Moving forward, this is where Australia pretty much runs out of ideas. Lucky for them, though, the Geneva Conventions have not been invented yet. Louis Pasteur, a man of science and resident rat bastard of a Frenchman, suggests that they introduce a strain of chicken cholera to the rabbit population in Australia. He's so confident in this idea that he sends his nephew and 2 colleagues down to Australia with vials of cholera in their suitcases to go demo the idea and collect his prize. When they get to Australia, they are met with near immediate opposition for a few reasons. 1, Australians don't like the idea of introducing another deadly disease to their already deadly country. 2, the Rabbit Commission, as they're called, all just apparently hate this guy. In fact, one delegate had secret orders from the Premier of Queensland to divert Pasteur's focus from rabbits to cattle diseases. 2 delegates are pretty rationally afraid of cholera, and 2 other delegates were apparently students of Pasteur's rival in science. During the demo of chicken cholera, they don't even kill rabbits. Pretty much all they do is prove that the disease that kills birds does in fact kill birds. The Rabbit Commission tells Pasteur this, to which his response is pushing up his glasses and going, well, I should actually still win the prize money, because you only said it had to be safe for horses, sheep, camels, goats, swine, and dogs, not birds. I should be allowed to kill birds. The commission proceeds to not let Lil Bro cook, and then nobody wins the prize money. The moment Pasteur is gone, the Rabbit Commission goes, maybe he was onto something though, and then they start conducting their own experiments to find a way to kill all rabbits, kill, genocide, biological warfare, kill. All hope seems lost. In 1950, a man named Frank Fenner conducts enough research and upgrades his town hall to level 13, allowing the Australians to release the myxoma virus into the rabbit population. Dropping the rabbits from 600 million to 100 million, the myxoma virus actually shows decent promise. It isn't enough. About 30 or 40 years later, the rabbit population starts creeping back up to its original numbers. So now, in the 1990s, the Australians need to come up with another disease to kill the rabbits, because all of the rabbits now are effectively immune to the myxoma virus. Enter the Calissa virus, also known as rabbit hemorrhagic disease, which is coincidentally the name of my band's newest album. RHD is released in a quarantined area for study, but it breaches quarantine in 1995, releasing the virus to the rabbit population. RHD proves to be incredibly contagious, and it devastates the rabbit population, killing 10 million rabbits in just 8 weeks. The results of the disease are not pretty either. In some cases, known as paracute cases, rabbits could be grazing completely normally one moment and then fall over dead the next. In what are called acute cases, symptoms of RHD can include bloody discharge from the nose and mouth, jaundice in the eyes, and then an onset of fever that kills the rabbit within 12 to 36 hours. The rabbit's dead corpse remains contagious for RHD to the point that rabbit farmers admitted to grinding up rabbits in blenders to avoid their corpses infecting more rabbits. On one hand, it did do its job and kill rabbits. On the other, nobody is allowed to have a pet rabbit in Australia anymore. Basically, every time Australia gets close to solving the rabbit problem, time passes and rabbits just keep being rabbits. Ever since their first big break with the myxoma virus, rabbits just come back stronger about 30 years later. Rabbits, they're not gone from Australia, they probably never will be. All Australians can do is keep shooting and poisoning and killing rabbits and hope that someday someone finally sees the play of the game Kill Cam. One good thing has come out of all of this, though. In Australia, the Easter Bunny is a complete washed-up sad sack loser, and they use this guy instead. Look at him. I love him so much.